Hey there, YouTube friends, family. It's a guy with beard, guns, and gear. And I'm holding my drop dead sexy Glock 17 Gen 3. Behold, sexiness. But I'm not actually going to talk about this particular Glock. What I want to talk about is upgrades. And as you can see, I have upgraded the Glock. By the way, if you haven't seen the video, you should check it out. See the before and after. It's pretty cool, pretty amazing. Very happy with it. But I want to talk about upgrades because just like everything else you buy, we tend, especially nowadays, to want to buy something that we can customize and make our very own. And maybe there is another Glock 17 Gen 3 out there like this, but it's probably not exactly the same because of the choices that I have made. So what's the big thing that's going to stop you from doing everything that you want? It depends. There's that, like, that's the go-to word for everything, right? It depends. If money is no object, you have no budget, and you want a straight up Gucci Glock or any kind of pistol, you can do that, all right? Unfortunately, in Canada, we're now frozen as far as what we can buy. So I can't, even if I wanted to go buy a Gen 5 or maybe even try out different pistols and see if something fits me better, I can't do that. So, as I've said before, we have what we have. So in this case, I had a Gen 3 Glock 17, which is an amazing pistol, tried and true, used by military services, police services, you name it. There's nothing wrong with this pistol. But I want to make it my own. So what are my constraints? Well, budget is definitely one of them. I don't have unlimited resource for funds. Another one that kind of drove me in this direction is competition. I don't shoot competition, but I might get into it. Now, I know that in part one of my Glock 17 versus Glock 19X, I talked about, getting some slide cuts on it, and at the very least, something for, that nice cocking, serrations up in the front. I didn't do any of that, and there's a reason why. Because the category that I would probably be competing in if I did go into competition through IPSC, and now a lot of other recognized competitions or circuits are going to have different rules and regulations, but the ones I checked out specifically for the IPSC is this pistol right now would fit into the production with optics category. Okay, so things that I couldn't do. Now, I could do whatever I wanted, right? I could replace the slide, the barrel, the trigger, everything. Gucci this thing out to the nines. Money is no object. I want something that shoots cool and is cool. But now I'm going into the open category against people who have like $8,000 race guns or more. Probably wouldn't fare too well. So with a 17 production with optic, I'll tell you what the things I can change and what I did change. So obviously the color. The color doesn't add anything to the performance of the pistol. It does not give me an unfair advantage, although I will say it probably gives me an unfair sexiness. So there's that, right? But you can change the color. I did go with the Cerakote with the slide and the frame, and it looks amazing, as you can see. What else can I change? I can change the trigger, actually. Now, you should check the rules, but when I read it the first time, for a striker fire type pistol, the first shot has to be 3.5 pounds, and they're going to measure it. And then the follow-on shots can be a little bit less, and then it's going to be different if you have like something with the classic SIG that's a double single. So then the first one I think is 5 pounds, and then after that it can be 3.5. I'm not positive on the numbers. Check it out. The IPSC rules are published all over the place. So I'm just using that as an example because that's probably the category and the and the organization that I would be competing in if I decided to compete. What else can I change? Well, let's back up a little bit. What's important when you shoot a pistol, if you want to be accurate, right? Your grip, your stance, your sight alignment, your trigger manipulation. A lot of those things are physical and I can't change, I can only practice. But there's some things that I can manipulate mechanically that are going to give me a little bit of an edge over a stock pistol. Okay, and I'll say the big ones. Where am I going to spend my money? All right, sight alignment is so important when you're shooting a pistol. Okay, it's very important. One of the principles of marksmanship. So what can I do? I can put a really kick-ass red dot on there, which is going to help me with my can't see close up vision problems. So I can put a red dot on there, and now I'm going to the production optics. So that is a big advantage over a typical sight, or a typical like iron sights or a blade or whatever. Like I said before, I'm running more in tactical on these. I thought I was going to be able to co-witness, but I can't. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I might change out the front sight and get suppressor height. But anyway, that's going to give me an advantage as far as shooting this thing accurately. What else can I do, right? Trigger manipulation, very important. I can drop in a whole trigger on this. Now, I didn't do that, not necessarily because of budget constraints, because they're not all that expensive for a Timney trigger, but I had a friend of mine, and this is a great segue, but talk to people who do this, all right? I've got a friend of mine, he was, and I guarantee he still is an amazing shot, but he was in IPSC, like he won, you know, his division in Canada a couple of times. So he's an amazing shot, and it's really something to watch him shoot. But he said of all, and he's got quite a few pistols, he's got an Affinity race gun, he's got a Glock, he's got all kinds, he's got a CZ, and he said he was really, really, really impressed, felt amazing. The Grandmaster connector kit for the Gen 2.3 Glock I have for this one by Terran Tactical. And he said, I would highly recommend that. It's kind of cheap, but it feels amazing. If you don't have the money for that, you can always do a polish job on the connector. And a polished 20, you know, YouTube search that. There's a ton of videos out there on the 25-cent polish job. And that in itself is going to take away a lot of that sponginess, the creep, and you're going to get a nice crisp break. And the reset on it is going to be better as well because of the polish job. All right, so sights, trigger. What else can I do? What else is important? A grip is important. Now, I would love to have done some stippling on this. I would have loved it. But again, it would have excluded me from the division that I'm thinking about competing in. So I can't do that. Can I do anything at all to the grip to make it a little bit better? Well, I'll tell you one thing. Doing the Cerakote on the frame has already made a huge difference. It's gotten rid of that. Now, it might wear in over time with sweat and everything else, but it's a very dry feeling, and it gives you a better purchase on the firearm doing the Cerakote on the frame. So that's a good place to start. The other things I could do is Talon grips. I could do skateboard tape. I could do make my own custom grips. They can't be over a certain width. You can't run a Hogue or anything like that, but you can put on certain grips to make this better. And then change the color, like I said, and that's going to give you no advantage other than sexiness, which is always an advantage. So that's about all I could do. Now, I'm going to talk about everybody, and this is why I'm saying watch this before you go out and dump a bunch of money into your pistol. There are some great companies out there that are selling aftermarket parts for all kinds of pistols. I'm going to talk about the Glock because that's what I have. So, and there are some nightmare companies. All right, so people are going out and buying these match grade or marksman barrels. I'm going to tell you something, my personal opinion, it's a waste of money. The stock barrel on a Glock is far more accurate than you will ever be. You will never beat that barrel in accuracy. So it's a bit of a gimmick. If you want to do it for sexiness, I've seen all kinds of gold, silver, fluted, bronzed, red, you name it. If you want to do it for that, fine, but be aware. Go with a reputable company. Talk to a gunsmith. Talk to your friends. If you see people shooting these firearms out there, ask them if they've had issues with the aftermarket barrels, because there are a lot of issues by changing the barrel in this. You could have some serious cycling issues where you have to tap and rack every other round. Nobody wants to do that, and you certainly don't want to do that while you're out for a day shooting. It's frustrating, it's awful. You can change the slide on these now, or you could take this slide and get it milled. You have to be careful with that, because you're going to mess with the cycling rate on this. So where does that end? Then do you have to go and change the connector spring? Do you have to get like a tungsten push rod? Like where does it end? These firearms are designed from the factory to run ammo. They are notoriously torture tested and proven to run as is. If you want a Gucci Glock, get a pre-made package from a reputable company, or talk to your gunsmith. He should be able to measure the weight, know exactly how much he could mill out without affecting the recoil of your firearm beyond its factory specs. Like I said, you could be creating a whole bunch of issues, and I've seen a ton of videos. You want to go see, like, it doesn't even take that much. Just go on YouTube. You can do a quick search and you'll find a ton of like nightmare aftermarket upgrade projects. So my advice is keep it simple. Keep it really simple. I'll say, like, Agency Arms has a very good reputation as far as putting out slides and barrels, and a little bit of everything actually. They've got all kinds of parts for these. And also Zev has got a pretty good reputation as far as aftermarket parts. Other than those two, I mean, let me know in the comments if you know of other ones, or if you have some good horror stories about that. I love hearing about that. Not that I ever want to see Glocks fail, but normally when I talk to somebody and say, hey, I was out in the range, I have problems with my Glock, and you know, I've been there to the range and seen guys, you know, trying to make their firearm cycle, and I pick it up and I say, what'd you do to that? Well, I had it milled, I had this. Okay, well, there's your problem, all right? So if you want these things to run non-stop, leave it factory. If you're looking for Gucci upgrades, keep it simple. That's my advice. I mean, you can do whatever you want. If you decide money is no object, whatever, I'm going to go out and blow a bunch of bucks making a total sexy handgun, I understand. Believe me, I understand. I love the things too. But just be aware of some problems you might be creating by being a little overzealous. That old adage, you get what you pay for, is certainly true when it comes to that. There are some amazing companies out there that will take your slide and frame and do an amazing job on it and match it all up. They've done it, they've proven it, it works. One of them in Canada for sure is Black Box Customs. I haven't heard any bad reviews, reports coming back from any of the work that they've done on their Glocks. I'm going to put this down because I'm just always touching it. It's an amazing pistol. So again, just to sum up, you got to have a budget, all right? There's no point in trying to cheap out on certain things because you might be creating big problems, and there would be nothing worse, for me at least, than spending $339 on a bargain barrel, if you can call it that, and throwing it into my pistol and going out to the range and not having it cycle properly, or, you know, getting all kinds of feed issues in itself. That's probably the reason why I stick with Glock mags. Now, one more thing to add, actually. One thing that's always kind of bothered me about the Glock is the ejection, the ejector on the side. It's a little hard to reach, and it's very small, and I can see if you were all day at the range pushing this button, you know, reloading, you'd probably get a hot spot on that, just because, you know, the stress and everything. You want to do well, you want to have that good timing, and you're, you know, reach out. I'm lucky I have long fingers, long thumb, so I can get to it pretty handily. Can I go ahead and put an enlarged ejector button on there? No, you can't. unless it's made by Glock. Glock Factory does put one out that is a little bit, it sticks out further. It's probably about like twice the length of this, at least as far as it protrudes from the side. So you can add that, and it shouldn't preclude you from any competition. This is as we're speaking right now. Rules change all the time. Customizing a pistol has become the norm. So as far as I've seen, like, production in one of the, not IPSC, but the USDPA, if I'm getting that acronym right, they're almost saying like production is like an open class now. That's how like ridiculous it's gotten. So just be aware, check out the regulations if you're thinking about competing, especially if you live in Canada. Now, I might go and buy a second slide, maybe, and barrel. And, at some point, but I don't need to right now. This is all kinds of great and sexy, and I've given myself a mechanical advantage where I can. I've got that Terran Tactical, I've got the RMR, and the grip feels amazing. The only thing I might add is Talon grip. My advice to you, don't spend a bunch of money on upgrades that are going to cause you pain. Do your research, talk to your friends, talk to a gunsmith. Gunsmiths are a great wealth of knowledge. If you have one in your area, go talk to them, tell him what you're thinking about, and he should lead you in the right path. Of course, he's a salesperson. He's going to try and upsell you. If he's not a great gunsmith, he will try and do that. If he is a great gunsmith, he wants you to be happy, and he wants you to come back, and he wants you to recommend to your friends. So, that's all I got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. I certainly enjoy talking to you guys. I love to see the feedback. So if you've got any questions for me, if you've got some points, like I said, maybe you made some upgrades that are working great. Maybe you found a jewel in the rough out there. Let me know too if you spent a little bit of money and got great satisfaction out of it. Oh, and I'll just give a little, I want to talk about this ammunition that I picked up for hunting ammunition. It is a 9mm hollow point put out by Barnes. It's called Attack XP. 20 rounds. It's very expensive, but reputation wise, it is supposed to be as accurate as you can imagine. Like, this is supposed to be like match type accuracy out of a hollow point. So I'm going to take this out to the range very soon, I hope. I've been jonesing to go. The weather hasn't been great, and I've been working night shifts. I know that sounds like a broken record, but we're going to plan on going out to the range. I want to shoot some pistol. I want to shoot this. I want to get it zeroed, and I'll probably give a little tutorial on how to zero a red dot, because I've never had one on this, but I've had red dots on other firearms. Same principle. Anyway, I'm the guy with Beard, Guns, and Gear. Hope you guys are doing great. I love hearing from you. Please click that like, subscribe. You're helping me out, and I really appreciate it, and I will see you at another time.